All right, let's get started with lesson 5.3, day 2. So we're going to use what we learned in the past, which is these are parallel lines, and this is a line that intersects those two parallel lines. So this is what we call a transversal. And that means a host of things are true. Corresponding angles are congruent, alternate interior angles are congruent, alternate exterior angles are congruent, same side interior angles are supplementary, and always, whether these lines are parallel or not, always vertical angles are congruent. So we can use all that information since those two lines are parallel and that there's a transversal. But what's also true right now is that there's another transversal right here. So we have two transversals. And I don't know if you noticed this or not, but inside here we have a what? Whoa, pretend that's straight. We have a triangle there, don't we? Which means we can use a triangle sum theorem as well to answer these questions. So more than one way to answer this question. What I want you to do right now is pause the video and try to find angle 4. So let me show you one way we can do this. We could probably come up with several here, but let's use one way. So I know that this is 42 degrees. I need to find out what this is. So if I only knew what angle 5 was, I'd be set, wouldn't I? Because these three angles make a line right here, which means they make 180 degrees. And I know that since these are parallel, and this is a transversal, angle 5 has to be the same as this right here, because this angle down here is a corresponding angle to angle 5. Corresponding meaning the same spot, right? Bottom right corner with respect to the transversal and both parallel lines. So that means that this is 48 degrees. This has to be 48 degrees also because of corresponding angles. And if this is 48 and this is 42 and they make a straight line, then that means that 42 degree angle and our answer plus 48 degrees must equal 180. So I can add these two together, combine my like terms, 48 and 42. Well, 40 and 40 is 80, right? 8 and 2 is 10. So add them all up, I get 90 degrees. And then if I subtract 90 from both sides, I'll get my answer. Angle 4 has to be 90 degrees. So that's one way to do it. There's other ways you could have done it as well. And some of you probably did it another way and also got 90 degrees, correct? So for example, I could say that angle 7 has to be 42 degrees because they're alternate interior angles, because this is a transversal for these two parallel lines as well. So this is 42, so this has to be 42. I can say that angle 8 has to be 48 because it's a vertical angle to the 48 degrees. And I could also say that my answer here is part of a triangle. Therefore, I can use the triangle sum theorem because the sum of all three angles for every triangle is always 180 degrees. So there's another way I could do it. And yes, there are other ways as well, but I think 2 is enough. Let's go ahead and move on. I want you guys to pause the video and try to come up with one way to find the measure of angle 9. Okay, so there's a couple ways we can do this. If we know what angle 8 is, we could use that to find angle 9 because 8 and 9 are supplementary. They make a straight line. They add up to 180 degrees, correct? So 8's not too hard to find because, again, we have two parallel lines. And you see there's a couple transversals, but you see this one transversal here. That would mean that this angle here has to be what? Since it's corresponding to this angle. They're in corresponding places. They're in the same top right corner. That means if this is 45 degrees, this is also 45 degrees. And look, we have a triangle right here, right? Triangle right here. Pretend that's drawn nicely, which means that I can use triangle sum theorem because I will have three angles of a triangle, 50 degrees, this one up here, plus this one down here, 45, plus this missing angle, we'll call it x, has to add up to 180. Let's use a shortcut this time. Let's take our calculators and let's add these two together. Together, 50 plus 45 is 95. Now, I'm going to take 180 and subtract 95, but I'll just do a shortcut and just do minus 180. I'm doing it in the wrong order, so I have the wrong sign. I'll just remember that has to be positive, which means this has to be 85 degrees. Right? All three add up to 180. That's got to be 85. Now, if I know this is 85, then what's this have to be if they make a straight line, if they're supplementary angles? Well, 85 and my answer, angle 9, whatever that is, we'll just call it x for now, has to add up to 180. Again, we can grab our calculators and we can just go, and I know some of you can do this in your head, that's fine. We'll go 180 minus 85, and we get angle 9 has to be 95 degrees. Now, I know that some of you out there, you did this another way. You didn't use corresponding angles here. You didn't use corresponding angles or the triangle sum theorem and supplementary angles here. Some of you did it differently, right? Some of you might have looked at it this way. Angle 9 is the same as angle 2 and 45 degrees because they're corresponding. This is another way to do it. So if you could just figure out what angle 2 is and add it to 45, you'd have to get that as well. Well, angle 2 is vertical to 50. So angle 2 is 50. So 50 plus 45 is 95. That's another way to get our answer. And yes, we can keep going. There's other ways to do it, but I think 2 is plenty. I want you guys to pause the video for this last problem. We won't have any review section, by the way, for this lesson because we're not going to have a quiz next week. So this is going to be your last lesson, and you will only have to do this new problem here and then mark as done on your Google Classroom. But so I want you guys to enjoy this last problem. You guys go ahead and pause this and see if you can do it on your own. So our goal here for our last problem is to find this angle right here, angle 4. What's this angle? Okay, let's see. How can we do that? Well, we know that we have parallel lines here and a transversal, which means angle 4 is alternate interior to angle 7. Alternate interior angles are congruent. So if we can just find angle 7, we've answered this question. Angle 7 is part of a triangle. So I can use the triangle sum theorem. I can say 80 plus 48 plus angle 7, whatever it is means use an x, equals 180. Let's go ahead and do our shortcut this time. We'll take this here and we'll go 80 plus 48. And I should delete this and type in 180 minus 128 to get it right. But I'll just switch the order and just remember that my sign will be wrong. So that's supposed to be a positive, but it's negative 52 because I did it in the wrong order. So that's a 52 degrees. If this is 52 degrees, this has to be 52 degrees also. This is one way to do this answer. Yes, there are other ways, but we're going to call that good. Good job, you guys. Take care.